partner,
Matthew Simmons.
and this is Zelda Mythbusters. Basically, what we're going to be doing in this panel is we're going to be going over some of the biggest myths and misconceptions in the Zelda series that have developed over time. We're going to begin with one that's probably the most famous one. How many of you have heard about getting the Triforce in Ocarina of Time? How many of you actually got it? Nice. You guys are awesome. You're better. So, basically, this myth began because when they were developing Ocarina of Time, when it was called Zelda 64, they had a lot of pre-release footage and screenshots that actually showed that you could get the Triforce in Ocarina of Time. And we're going to start by showing you one of the videos of this that came out a few years before the game released in North America. And you can see that it's clearly obtainable. So one quick second, let me get this started.
Yeah, this was during a time before Nintendo would, only announce a game a month before it came out. This is back when they showed stuff like 8 years in advance.
And we apologize, some of this footage is borrowed from other sites because it's really old.
It's old, and
but
the only place to find
we
it.
got permission to reuse all of it.
It's old.
Who knows what this site became?
If you do, raise your hand.
This has no audio, so. I'll show it one more time. As you can see, the Triforce was intended originally to be an obtainable item. And when the game came out, when people when they played a game, they started seeing what items you collect. A lot of people noticed when they played a game that they didn't actually get the Triforce in the game. If you actually go and look at footage of the game in the item menu with all the stuff that you can obtain.
Anyways, another major problem with this rumor was if you were ever near a Toys R Us,
DLC players.
Yeah, if you ever near a Toys R Us right around the time of the launch, they had an old a promo video playing where it actually had that old clip in it, even though it wasn't anywhere near what the final game was like. So that only helped spur the sales because it was actually shown somewhat recent to its release.
Okay, so this is the Virtual Console version, which is almost identical to the N64 version. So I'm going to skip ahead here. So when you go to the menu here in the game, you'll see that this is the item quest status thing. And if you notice, every slot in the game, if you've beaten it, everything lights up and it's an obtainable item, except for the little spot in the middle, which is the Triforce. So if you can get all these items, then obviously the Triforce must be in the game. So lots of fans went around and started looking for the Triforce in the game. And unfortunately, a lot of crazy ideas came out of this, how to get the Triforce in the game. And one of the most popular at the time involved something called the Temple of Light.
You're really a forum user if you know this.
So this was the screenshot that came out around 1998, 1999 of someone claiming that you could go to the Temple of Light, and that if you went inside, you met the Sage of Light, Rauru, and he would give you the Triforce. Now, back in the day, Photoshop wasn't as prevalent as it was today, so people were a little more gullible. So basically, something like this popped up in 1998. This was pretty believable. It's running on the screen, looks like, I mean, there's no game system, so it'd be a little questionable, but basically what the person did is the person went into Photoshop and made a mock screenshot and then outputted the video signal to their TV and took a picture of their TV. Yeah, very cruel. Yeah. So, the story went a little further, and they went on to say that you could get this song called Overture of Sages that would warp you to the Temple of Light. Obviously, if you try and play this song, it's not in the game at all. finally, the person took a picture of the young Link getting the Triforce. So these are really old shots. So this was actually pretty much the first Triforce rumor. From there, all different types of stories popped up, from getting the golden saddle to having to go underneath Ganon's castle at the end of the game. But none of it is true. You cannot actually get the Triforce in the game. There's no text in there to get it. The only technical thing is Link does get part of the Triforce at the end of the game. He gets the Triforce of Courage. So for all of you complaining, you do technically get a part of it. So you sort of do get it. But a lot of people in more recent times decided to hack the game and make fake videos of getting the Triforce by doing model hacking. So if you're seeing any videos online that look real getting it, they're all like ROM hacks and stuff.
Yeah, there is a sort of quasi method to see the Triforce in Ocarina of Time if you have an action replay. If you're in the castle courtyard, you can have the levitate on the L button. You can drop yourself behind a certain wall halfway to Zelda's courtyard, and you'll see just like a Triforce spinning in like this blackness that you drop yourself into. It's literally nothing. It's just a piece of the game code where the Triforce is just floating in. You can't grab it, you can't touch it, you can't, it doesn't, do the jingle and say, you got the Triforce now. So that's the closest you can really get, and it's like big deal. You could, if you were a good hacker, you could just pull the spinning Triforce out of one of the cutscenes and be like, ooh, so.
Miyamoto actually said back before he made the Wind Waker that the most asked question that their staff got was how to get the Triforce in Ocarina of Time in Japan. So it wasn't just like people in America looking for it. It was a lot of people thought it was in there. So the next one we're going to move on to goes back to a game called A Link to the Past.
Nobody know what that is.
Which is the best Zelda game made. So, No, the Triforce was more popular, but how many of you have heard of something called the Chris Houlihan ring? This is a little bit older. It's a little bit more obscure. So how it goes, this is the story that you go and post on a forum, you usually get this answer. Some kid back sometime in the 1990s entered a Nintendo Power Contest to get his name in A Link to the Past. And his room was accidentally removed from the game, and you can only access it through a series of really cool tricks. And it says, hi, my name is Chris Houlihan, this is my top secret room, keep it between us. That's the story. It's partially correct, but a lot of people have assumed that the contest was to be in a Zelda game or in A Link to the Past. So we're going to show you where the contest actually originated from.
Did a little bit of digging. Yeah, the funny thing was, what he's basically getting at is that this contest was not like some big thing where it's like, you're going to be in the next Zelda game. It was actually very hush-hush. Like it was basically a boring contest that just said, hey, you could have your name in a game.
Yeah. So the truth is, there it is. The contest was actually part of a Final Fantasy treasure hunt that ran in Nintendo Power from 1990. And it technically wasn't even part of the main contest. It was embedded in this last stage of the contest. The contest is, if you can take a picture of Warmech and send it in by a certain date, you would have a chance to have your name in an NES game. So it was never, nice phone. It was never for A Link to the Past. It was never for a Zelda game. It was for this contest. Now, the other part of this is that the contest winner was never actually announced. When they went to when they announced the contest winners in the featured issue, like we do now, all they did was they showed a list of people who actually won the Final Fantasy treasure hunt contest.
How lucky was that guy?
This on the right-hand side here is a list of winners, and as you can see, there's no Chris Houlihan anywhere on there. So what we had to do is we actually emailed Nintendo, and Nintendo did what the truth is. This is what really happened to him, why it's so difficult to get in there. Chris Houlihan did win the contest, and his name